was just telling a friend the other day that I didn't even think that Nutrina Nature-Wise made medicated starter crumbles for chicks, but alas, I was wrong. I know all y'all are already planning your spring hatches, where you're getting hatching eggs from and where you're getting chicks from. So let's talk about the difference between medicated and non-medicated foods that you can make informed choices. For reference, these are chick starter grower crumbles. This says medicated. These are not medicated. Okay, so first, to be clear, these two feeds are exactly the same except for one difference. Here are the labels. This is the medicated. This is the unmedicated. I kept getting interrupted in the feed aisle, so I figured we'd resume this in the truck where we can have some privacy. Geez. Okay, so anyways, I took these screenshots to show you because what I want you to see is that the ingredients between these two feeds are basically the same except for like two major differences. And can I also tell you that Nutrina is my favorite product to feed my chickens. I feed Nutrina products at every stage of development. Looking at the comparison of these two, the only difference between these two products is one, the introduction of amprolium in the medicated feed, and two, the medicated feed does not have B vitamins. But another green flag for Nutrina is you notice all of these other vitamins and herbal extracts and probiotics that are in this feed. It's why it's my favorite. The reason that you see amprolium in the medicated feed is amprolium is the medication. Amprolium is also the medication that you find in Corid, which is what we use to treat coccidia in our baby chicks. Coccidia is the only thing that amprolium treats. So it's important to know that when you are treating your chickens using medicated feed, the only thing that I don't even like the word treating. When you're feeding your chicks medicated feed, the only thing that you're doing is introducing them to a dose of amprolium to help prevent coccidia. It doesn't prevent any other illness or do any other kind of benefit for them. And the reason that you don't see vitamin B in this medicated feed with amprolium is because the way that amprolium works is by blocking the absorption of vitamin B. If you are feeding your baby chicks Medicaid feed and you do have an outbreak of coccidia where you need to treat with Corid, in that scenario you would stop feeding the medicated feed and only treat with the Corid. And this kind of brings me to why personally I don't use medicated feed. Amprolium can be kind of caustic in the gastrointestinal. I mean, like, not enough to where if you treat your chickens with Corid because they have coccidia, you're going to see negative effects of it. I mean, quite the opposite. In fact, if you do have signs of coccidia, especially blood in the stool, it's hard to imagine a scenario where you're not going to have losses if you don't treat. Coccidia really needs to be treated at the point the birds are symptomatic. And I've never had negative side effects of treatment with Corid, but that is like a 10 to 14 day treatment, okay? But in my personal opinion, when you take those developing stages, days, weeks of a chick's life, and you give them a feed with medication in it that is also blocking the absorption of any vitamins, nonetheless B vitamins, that to me seems a little riskier than I'm willing to deal with. I personally would rather just feed them a nice, good quality Nutrina Nature-Wise feed, keep them with nice, clean, fresh water, and deal with the consequences if I see symptoms of coccidia, because I don't see it in every single one of my chicks. Although coccidia is one of the most common illnesses and one of the most frequent reasons of losses that we see in our baby chicks. I have tons of videos on this on my playlist all over the place. TikTok, Facebook. I don't have playlists on Facebook, but there's videos on Facebook and YouTube. I actually have entire playlists dedicated to raising chicks, chicken health, hatching and incubation, all of the things. The other thing for me personally with medicated feed is it's my preference to raise birds who have the capability to develop their own natural immunities. I like to breed for health and vigor naturally. It makes me uncomfortable to artificially impose immunity to coccidia using amprolium and a medicated feed throughout the duration of their infantile life, if you will. I want to see how these birds are going to do naturally and how their immune systems are naturally going to grow and thrive, because I want to know which birds are affected by coccidia and which ones I don't see symptoms in, because those things are going to make a difference for me personally in which birds I continue to breed moving forward. Also, I personally have never used medicated feed, but I also have not heard any evidence that has made me believe that it is more of a benefit and even prevents coccidia enough to use it. In fact, I have heard people say that using medicated feed, they still got coccidia and still had losses because they didn't anticipate having it because their chicks were on medicated feed. Anyways, you do you. I totally support that what works for me doesn't work for everybody, and I absolutely support that we all have different ways of doing things, and that's totally fine.